Good evening. Again, I'm Kim Mascaro, and it's an honor to introduce Dr. Larry Benz. I've had the privilege of working with Larry since the 1980s. I actually just counted that up when one of y'all were talking. I think it might be nearly 40 years. We can't be that old. But people often ask me, does everything Larry touches turn to gold? And the truth is, he takes risks. He learns fast, he moves forward without fear. And for those of us that have worked with him in the C-suite, he challenges us to act quickly because standing still is a bigger risk. And every misstep is really just tuition. It's just the cost of learning and innovation. And that mindset, which is grounded in purpose and courage, is something Larry shares with his wife, Patty. She's also a physical therapist, and she's here with us tonight. And she's been his partner from the very beginning, from their first small clinic in Greensburg, Kentucky. Anybody here from Greensburg? All the way to the big ideas that led to serving hundreds of thousands of patients every year across the U.S. Together, Larry and Patty built not just clinics, but a culture of curiosity and compassion. And Larry led one groundbreaking idea after another, tracking clinical outcomes before it was common practice, pioneering evidence-based care when few in healthcare were already talking about it, designing new education models that made the path to becoming a physical therapist more accessible, more affordable, and invited greater diversity into the profession. And always, compassion was at the center of this. Larry literally wrote the book, you saw the video, Called to Care, proving that empathy isn't soft. It is measurable, and that feeling cared for by your providers, by your healthcare team, improves your outcomes of care. Yes, Larry's known as an innovator, but what makes him unique among healthcare leaders is that he can innovate in 3 dimensions: the science of care, the compassion of care, and the business of care. So, if you want an example of his purpose in action, look to Haiti. Long before they had a devastating earthquake there in 2010, Larry had been doing mission work long before that. But when that happened, he returned to establish a free physical therapy clinic, recruiting clinicians from across the US to use their vacation time to come and serve. And when he came home, he said to me, I literally quote, "Haiti is an entrepreneur's dream." I thought, oh my gosh, it's a free clinic. But for Larry, the roots of entrepreneurship have always been about purpose, not profit. So just wanted to let you know a little bit more about him before he gets up here and talks big money and all the good stuff. But he really does things from his heart, and compassion, and for the right reasons at the very beginning. So please join me in celebrating Dr. Larry Benz, whose calling to serve is a call to care. There he is.
Thank you so much, Kim. I just am incredibly appreciative and humble, and to have so many friends here tonight, colleagues, partners, board members, surprises, the whole cabinet of University of Louisville. It's just an incredibly appreciative and humble feeling. I guess all I can say in that respect. Being admitted here into this tonight is both an honor and a responsibility. And I'll get to that in a minute, but the first thing I want to do is to acknowledge my other inductees, who I know quite well. Alice Houston, I've known Alice so long, been on charitable nonprofit boards for her. And Alice, you're an U of L Alumni of the Year. You're a Ali Humanitarian Award winner, and now you're in the Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame. That, Alice, makes you a Triple Crown winner, and so deserve for that. Rick Kieber. We've known each other a long time. We overlapped in Elizabethtown and in YPO. I've watched Rick scale not just one brand across multi-states, but a second and a third and a fourth. One thing, Rick, I thank God every day you're a University of Louisville fan. I really do. I also had the pleasure, along with my wife Patty, of being at your wonderful wedding to your better half, Bella. So congratulations, Rick. And to Bill Butler, yes, from Northern Kentucky. And unless you think I don't know Bill, think again. I got an email a couple weeks ago from a guy in Colorado who said, you know, I don't know anybody in Kentucky except two people, and they're both 50% of the inductees of the Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame this year. And Bill has done an incredible development in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, that I happen to be a member of his club. And it is just the most awesome, picturesque facility you've ever seen, or development you've ever seen. You know, Bill was also and had Patty go on a bike ride with him one time. So for that alone, Bill, you deserve a trophy. So congratulations. You see, entrepreneurs find each other. You know, birds of a feather truly do flock together. I will also tell you that despite all the work you do as an entrepreneur and chasing big dreams and all the things that go with it, the one thing that absolutely remains for Kentuckians is every national meeting you go, the first question they ask is your bourbon preference. It just follows us everywhere that we are. But what defines the inductees tonight, I think we would all agree, is a sense of groundedness, drive, and graciousness all at the same time. For me, entrepreneurship at its core is a calling to serve. My own story didn't begin in boardrooms, but in the Army medical troop clinics and in hospital wards teaching soldiers to walk again. And my beginnings in Kentucky became a little bit circuitous. I came here on a straight drive from San Antonio, Texas, where I'd been commissioned as a second lieutenant and finished graduate school. And I thought I would get to Fort Knox, and this was around the mid-'80s. I'd do my time, and I would leave. But then something remarkable happened. Opportunity took hold, and Kentucky absolutely stole my heart. Early on, I met a Kentucky filly who was also becoming a physical therapist, Patty, my wife, and my greatest entrepreneurial accomplishment anywhere. This award is every bit yours, so thank you so much, Patty. In 1987, please, yes. In 1987, there were just 5 physical therapists in Hardin County serving about 90,000 people. 15 years later, after selling my first company, there were about 5 times that number in Elizabethtown alone, many of them working with us. That's the power of this Commonwealth, the opportunity that exists. I've always believed in going where you're needed, and so in those early days, I followed Sam Walton. And the only place in counties like Greene, Adair, Cumberland, Clinton, Russell, Nelson, Meade, Grayson, Barron, and Hardin were Walmart and one of our physical therapy clinics. From those early beginnings to Confluent Health, who is now literally the largest provider in New York City and the largest provider in the state of Texas, we've come a long way. But our mission and the way we define success has never changed. And success for us means finding a better way, simplifying the complex, and sharing it for the good of others, all while building very trusted relationships in the process. I've been blessed to serve along some incredible researchers, clinicians, educators, and leaders, people who could believe that you could transform healthcare. Is the way to do it is through people, serving people. That's healthcare, not numbers. And we showed that purpose can actually scale, and in fact, it scales so much better than profit. And the third ingredient was empathy, and that empathy is a muscle that can grow stronger the more we use it. Purpose, people, empathy. And the last component was culture. We learned early on All things being equal, culture can make you win, any team or any company. But all things not being equal, culture can still make you win, any team, any company. To those who've been part of this journey, who I want to recognize tonight, Brooke McGovern. I think, Brooke, you've worked for me since you learned how to drive, and you still deliver flawlessly and have followed me through all the ventures and everything that we've done. Thank you. Kim Mascaro, the most excellent, loyal superstar you've ever seen. She was a math major from Center College and then became, I think, the best chief marketing officer in the United States. And her husband, Joe's here. He's a retired oral surgeon, another Louisville fan. And then lastly, Donna Sanders, my executive assistant and my nanny, frankly. Thank you so much. You know, they say behind every successful man is a woman, but for me it's plural. I've just introduced you to 4 of them. And they are the key ingredients, absolutely, in my secret sauce. I also want to acknowledge the support of my family. You see, my kids are now all grown, and every real entrepreneur and really father wants your kids to follow their own path, not yours. And boy, they did in spades. And I've got a combo. I've got an entrepreneur in high tech, I've got a teacher, and I've got a preacher. But more importantly, I've got 4 grandchildren with 1 on the way that I love very much. And to others here tonight, my lawyer is here. Brian and Laura Cromer, you know, lawyers and my friends, that's not always used in the same sentence, but I want to thank you both so much. Kim and Terry Hagerin, we've had 25 years of laughter and unconditional and unrelenting friendship, so thank you very much. And I also want to thank the organizations that create such fertile grounds for building Awesome Incorporated, the Kentucky Chamber, and the Sustainable Business Ventures. Throughout my journey, I've held close to Dr. Kent Keith's paradoxical commandments, which basically says, regardless how the world treats you or what is facing you, do good anyway, succeed anyway, build anyway, and help people anyway. These words remind me that it's not what we accumulate, it's how we serve. And to the next generation, we got to spend time, made us late for this, but about 100+ students from all the colleges here in Kentucky and their entrepreneurial clubs, and they asked incessant questions. So to you all, real success isn't about valuations, it's about value. Build companies that care, build teams that inspire and build from the heart, and build them right here in Kentucky. In closing, I would like to say I accept this honor with deep gratitude on behalf of every entrepreneur, educator, and healthcare provider who believes that success begins when we are indeed called to care. To my approximate 7,000 employees around the country in almost every state of Confluent Health, and about the same number of employees at Dental Care Alliance, I'm going to say it again, as I often do. We grow together, we laugh, we do meaningful work that impacts lives, and we get to do it every single day. Thank you, Kentucky. Thank you to the Kentucky Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame for this incredible honor. I will cherish it my entire life. Thank you.